Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a nice spring evening tonight. Nice warm day here in Pittsburgh. All right, as we can see, 90 degrees in Orlando. All right. As we can see, we're right back into the trend that we had an opportunity to break out of this wedge formation. They've pretty much brought this right back down. Let's see if I can do this. Trend. They're kind of right back down at where the trend had been acting as resistance. Now we're right back to the support level. As we saw today, they closed this market, or they bounced this market right off the 50-day moving average. Now the thing that 99 degree is in northern New Jersey. Whoa. The thing that told us that there was lack of buying today could have been seen immediately in the NASDAQ. That the NASDAQ did a shooting star type doji day on Friday. It needed to stay within pretty close proximity of where it had opened. The fact that it gapped down and started drifting off from there pretty much told us that this was not going to break out through here. So, and if it was moving in this direction, especially and not anticipating the magnitude, but just even if it closed here, told us they were having a hard time getting up through the top of the trend just yet. So we can see on the NASDAQ, they did bring it back down to the 20 and brought it up a little bit. But this is where you kind of observe the obvious. We're right in this trend channel, and we're smack dab back into that trend channel. Oh yeah, I missed rain, and I'm sure it won't be very muggy in Houston for the next few weeks. So that kind of told us that our trend is there's no new trend, we're just still sideways. All right, some of the other indicators. Crude oil, as we can see, probably has an obvious target, which is coming back to test the 50-day moving average to see if it's going to bounce off of there. Gold. Bah. Well. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. Gold. GCAN. Gold. You can see once it got back up here to the 200 and closed back below the T-line, still heading down. That's made some of the mining stocks very weak at this point. It could come back down and test the 50. Yes, I wouldn't rule that out. Right now, I wouldn't rule anything out because, as we can see, this market has just been waffly the whole way. There's really no great decision-making going on as far as a trend. So we're still back in that waffling stage. That is probably a next likely target. I was short cotton today. Still short ever since kind of the evening star signal. It came up pretty strong. I closed it out when it came back up through the previous day's high. That was too much strength for a short. But then it came back down through that level, and I re-shorted it. Now it's got some considerations here. We're probably at the bottom of a potential trend channel. And we've done a doji after coming back up and failing at the 50 one more time. Makes it very simple. If it opens positive tomorrow, I'll close it out because there you've got your inverted hammer doji or gravestone doji, which tells you this level is supporting. If it opens lower, we've got a doji sandwich, which tells you this level isn't supporting. There's still more downside. Yes, many times it is bullish. So that's why I'll be watching it carefully to see how they open it tomorrow. And what else? Oh, I am short coffee because coffee, if you look at this chart on the basis that you kind of had a support level in here, like a trend channel, and now they've broken down through the bottom of this, could potentially put us into a wave 1, wave 2, and notice where it failed a few times. Right smack dab at the 50. There could be a wave 3 to the downside, magnitude of same magnitude as this. Let's see, dust, is dust the short? Yeah, you can go long on dust as the short, the inverse funds. And did I do soybeans? Soybeans, another one that looks like it's broken this wave with a slow rounding top. Right now you just stay short. I probably wouldn't short it here because we're in the oversold area, but if you were short, you stay short. At this point, if I was short, I just used today's high as a stop. It shouldn't come back up through that level. All right, with the market not really giving us any great trend to catch on to, it still becomes the individual stocks. I'm still long PBMD. It did come up positive today after the inverted hammer. Definitely would like to see this open positive and start trading positive tomorrow. If it opens lower, it means there's not a whole lot of strength there. They'll probably be coming back to test the T-line. I'll probably close it out and wait for the next buy signal. And ESPR was one that we've been trading, but it had the fry pan bottom, potential whipsaw, using the 50 as support. So closed out most of this position, but we'll be ready to buy this back if it comes back up above the T-line. And the mining stocks, because of gold, this is kind of the putting your stars in alignment that if the market was heading down, gold was heading down, and some of these mining stocks, we've been short AU for a while, ever since that shooting star failure at the T-line, or I'm sorry, at the 200, gap down below the T-line. Now it's gapped down in the oversold area. Let's make this a little bit bigger. We'll stay short, but we'll probably use today's open as a stop, because if they've gapped it down, where do most people sell? They panic sell at the bottom. And how do you tell that? When they gapped it down in the oversold area. So I want to be a little bit more conscious about taking profits on the short side on this one. And same with CENX. Notice what we've kind of got setting up here, kind of a flat little scoop type pattern. We'll stay short on this one as long as it stays below the T-line. Amazon had a nice gap up the other day, but this is why you want to use the common sense elements of candlesticks. When they gapped it up, pushing on the top of this what looked like a wedge, and then they closed it back down, but still above the T-line, the fact that they opened it lower today closed out positions. Not because it had already not yet closed below the T-line, but if this was in a breakout mode, there should be strength here. There was no strength. So that still puts us in this wedge formation, which tells you you probably want to have your money elsewhere until you see something happen coming out of that pattern. We did recommend eyes, and eyes was one that was pointed out by people in the chat room on Friday with the best friend signal. The fact that they've opened up positive, let me make this a little bit bigger, opened up positive today, especially on a day like today, this still makes for a very good trade. If it opens positive tomorrow, you still have the doji sandwich after a best friend signal telling you the 50-day moving average is not acting as resistance. Still a good buy setup. And ADXS. We're still long this one. Notice what it did on a very bad day. Came down, tested the T-line, and still trading up, still in this big fry pan bottom. Ha is a good example of when it closes below the T-line, close it out. You can always buy it back when it comes back up above the T-line. And as we can see, it hasn't been able to do that. More than likely, they're coming back down to test. So this is why I usually close out a position when it closes below the T-line. Now, had this closed just below the T-line, knowing that the T-line had been a factor, yeah, it had been more apt to hold on to it one more day. But when they sold it off and they closed that far below the T-line, that was your left-right combo sell signal after some indecisive trading. That pretty much told you which way they were taking it. So why go against the probabilities? Close it out. If it did a J-hook, you could always buy it back in. And Echo was another one that we recommended based on the slow curve. It didn't execute today, but we'll still buy this on positive trading because you got the slow curve, big J-hook type pattern setup. And it held up reasonably well considering what today's action was in the markets. Let me see what else we got. Still holding some PTBI. It's never been able to close below the T-line. It's still in that proverbial 45 degree. S-Fun we recommended because it did a bullish engulfing right here off the 50 with a gap up through this downtrending channel. Staying long on this one, using the T-line as a stop. And OSUR, this one will get watching. If this opens positive, the first target is back here to test the highs. Next target should be the 200-day moving average. Okay. All right, I better do a test here. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay, good. Yeah, today my system locked up again. How do I enter the symbols for cotton? Oh, Sandra, I think this on this chart service, I use this chart service for trading futures. But cotton on this symbol, or on this the symbol for cotton on this service is CTAN5. And gold is GCAN5. Whoops. How did that happen? GCAN5. Nope. GCAM5. That's a June contract. Yeah, and it'll be, Jim's right, Sandra. It'll be whatever service you're using, what symbols they use. So a lot of times, there'll be a tab on a charting service that says symbols, and when you click on that, you can type in what you're looking for. It'll come up with a symbol. Let's see. Want to keep an eye on RCPT. Little Morningstar signal. We're still trying to nudge this trend channel wedge, the top of the wedge. I'd keep an eye on this one. This one's got still some good prospects and obviously had a good day considering what the market was doing. Still following ANAC. ANAC, nice chart. let's see, make this a little bit smaller. Still a nice chart, and you got this slow curve in progress. We'll bring up Apple. Apple, yeah, notice what Apple has done. Apple had the potential of a nice breakout pattern with this big cup and handle, but this is exactly why the signals tell you pretty much what's going on even in a pattern. When they did a bearish engulfing signal kind of at a resistance level, I pretty much told you they weren't breaking it out. They were still stuck in the sideways channel. I don't know whether I'd go short right now, but I definitely wouldn't want to be long on any weakness tomorrow. And MX we started buying a few days ago. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Notice when it came out of the scoop, it consolidated. Notice the consolidation. Doji, doji, doji. Telling you there's not real decisive selling going on, and now positive trading. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on the J-hook pattern after the scoop on positive trading tomorrow, just using the T-line as your stop. Okay, some other longs right now that look good. They were mentioning Mankind in the chat room today. This is what you call your bobble. And a bobble is, notice how we have kind of a cradle pattern down here. Everybody says, oh, if you're buying, what's your first target? Well, the first target obviously is your next major moving average, which was the 50. And what did it do with the 50? Came back, right back to the T-line, and then came back up. That's what we call the bobble. Profit taking, but not reversal, just profit taking. So it kind of bobbles in between the T-line and the whatever the major resistance level is. This one can definitely be bought on positive trading, because if it's a J-hook pattern breakout with a bobble in there, this is wave 1. Wave 3 should take you up to the 200-day moving average. Should it? Will it do that? Don't know, but the probabilities are from this type of pattern setup, that's what this next pattern setup is doing. So anytime you see the bobble, like we're seeing in the MGNX, came right up to the 50, pulled back to the T-line, they couldn't take it through. If they bring it back up to the 50, that's a telling story. Number one, it tells you the 50 is not acting as resistance. 2, this downtrending channel is now being breached. And 3, showing you the J-hook patterns in progress, that your next move could be about the same moves here to bring you up into this range somewhere. So the advantage we have with being able to see visually what the patterns are setting up is at least we know what our potential target is. People talking about ASPS today. Still setting up nicely. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow. Another J-hook pattern in progress. A few more that I saw today that were looking good. There's a CSLT. Notice where it pulled back to. Right smack dab on the T-line with a best friend signal. There's your next likely target. And MDR, another one pointed out in the chat room today. There's your inverted hammer doji gap up. You're now right here at this resistance level. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying McDermott on positive trading tomorrow. And NPTN, just stay long on this one. That's a good looking chart. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying. AMBA, I'll probably be looking at buying some calls on this one. Based upon this being wave 1, wave 2. Notice your doji sandwich that broke you out into wave 3. Let's get rid of whatever that is. Now you've got a little J-hook. So if this is wave 1, wave 3 should be that same magnitude. So it's already moved from about 72 to 87. I can figure that out, 15 points. That should take you up pretty close to 100. And you're getting into the range. Remember, anytime a stock hits 90, more than likely it's going to go to 100. OPWR, another one that's bouncing up off the T-line. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on strength tomorrow. AGEN has not really been able to sell off dramatically. Now you've got kind of that, not quite 3 white soldiers, but I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one. And Fold. Fold's got a good chart. It's bouncing up off the moving averages, and this is why I always tell people observe the obvious. The obvious is it's got a nice steady uptrend, and every time it comes back to a support level, they're buying. So this one is a fairly safe trade to be buying. Okay, a couple more longs was Halo. Also broken out through this area. You just stay long on this one as long as stay long as long as it stays above the T line. Monkey Chowder, that's a what do I want to say? Observing the obvious, or just a situation that I've been able to take advantage of for years. That even in a down market, there could be plenty of down or big down days in the market where I'm predominantly long, and my portfolio was still positive for the day because the long positions I was in, even though the market was selling off hard, were in chart patterns that showed you that prices were still moving positive. So this is one of the comforting factors for me through the years, is the fact that the probabilities of being in the right trades at the right time with candlesticks is so great that even if the market goes against you, those trades usually will not only hold up well, but some of them even act good in a down market. So here's, again, the case for a J-hook pattern is wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. And so where do you sell on these type of patterns? Well, if we can calculate that this wave right here and this wave right here are pretty much the same, and notice what it did today. There's our tweezer top, right about the same highs. That tells me that if this starts backing off, that's when I start taking profits, because I can measure 1 and I can measure 3. It might only come back to the T-line, but I don't know if it's just going to stop at the T-line. I'll take my profits and then see if it does this type of action back at the T-line. Yeah, hold on to your individual ones. I'll get to them as soon as I tell Jim to do the double line. Okay, and then some of the shorts that look good. First Solar was slowly getting the slow curve, and then I think somebody downgraded it today. I would guess you're wave 1, wave 2, slow curve going into wave 3. They're at least testing this area, which is filling a gap. Now they've already filled that gap. So this is one that I wouldn't be afraid to be short. And COM, I saw, was a huge bearish engulfing signal today, back below the T-line. That makes either this level or this level your next likely target as far as a pullback. And ZLTQ, there's that slow curve again. And notice what happened on the lower open today. Told you this level was not acting as resistance. So you've got a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. I don't know whether there was a gap to fill. No, just still got potential for more downside on this one. VNCE, there's that slow curve. Let's make this bigger. First of all, observe the obvious. The obvious is we're in a steady downtrend on this stock. Now you've got that slow curve. I would suspect You drew a line right down through here. This is your next target. You could come all the way down into this area, which would be a good 40% gain on the short side. A lot of the oils have gotten weak with oil backing off. This is Neighbors. And notice what it did today. And I say notice what it did today. Anytime you start seeing dojis and gaps downs, that tells you there's a lot of force to the downside. And the fact that they just closed it below the 50 gives you a good running start. If they start trading this lower, that pretty much tells you the 50 is not acting as support anymore, but it's probably going down much further. And I think Rig was another oil-related stock that also was telling you that, let's make this bigger, little kicker type signal. That tells me they're probably have the potential of coming all the way back to the 50-day moving average. Let's see. VNet. VNet, there's your big belt hold signal. That's usually an indication the sellers are taking control. This, to me, indicates they're probably coming back down to test this support level. Good 20% to the downside. Cree was rolling over. There's that kind of J-hook type pattern. If this is wave one, Cree could have another 12 points to downside, taking you down into the 18. VNet was earnings effect. All right. It doesn't matter what what the reason is. It's basically telling you what the investor sentiment is doing after an announcement. And GTLS, another slow curve. And notice where this slow curve got its energy. Coming back up and failing right at the T-line, where the T-line and the 20 were crossing. This tells me there's probably a lot more downside to this one. See what it looks like. Yeah, they could bring this all the way down into this area, another 15-20% to the downside. Okay, I think that's about all I've got for tonight. So are there any general questions on candlesticks? If not, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. See how many people got ripped off. They put their requests. All right, Jim, get ready to do the second double line. Auntie, all you can do is stay long until you see a sell signal. You're almost in the overbought area. This would be where I'd start putting my stop at the previous day's open. It should not come back below this level. Let's see, we did ADXS. Just stay long on this one as long as it stays above the T-line. EIB, same scenario. But if this one opened lower tomorrow, we saw the markets opening lower, I'd probably close it out and just wait for the buying to come back in. BITA, you stay long, but if it opened lower, it told you that this slow curve did not break out. It puts you back into the trading range. If it opened lower tomorrow, I'd probably close it out. Then I just put my buy stop at today's open, because if it opened lower and then came back up through there, it tells me they weren't staying in the trading range anymore. FEYE consolidated nicely. If it opens positive tomorrow, you've got the strong potential of a doji sandwich breakout. If it opens lower, also telling you you're stuck back in the trend channel. SWKS, just stay long as this stays above the T-line. I wouldn't want to see it close below the T-line. Freeport, you want to go short on this one on weakness tomorrow. Freeport's had a hard time just getting out of its own way for quite a while. It's just not been a very strong stock. And I don't know what I did there. Uh-oh. WPRT. This one you want to be out of. Yeah, if you weren't out of it over the last couple of days, I wouldn't be in it until you saw something strong. As you can see, there's no trajectory. Your stochastics are still heading down. I'd be someplace else right now. Netflix, you stay long, but it has to stay above the T-line. Goldman Sachs, stay long as you like, say if you like this one. But notice what this did on the breakout. It gapped up through this little trend channel. But you're now got wave 1 and wave 3 getting pretty close. I would definitely use the T-line as a stop. I wouldn't want to see it come back through that level. Baidu's always had a hard time. It's now right at where what would be perceived as a support level, now acting as a resistance level. I just can't see anything great to say about Baidu at this point. And CRM, all you can do with this one is stay long if you like it, as long as it stays above the T-line. CTRP. Another one where you stay long, but I would use this open right here as my stop. If it came back down through there, that's showing a lot of weakness. Let's see, PEK. If you like it, if it comes back up through today's high, you can still be buying it. I would suspect your next target is the top of this channel up here. So it's still in an uptrend. If you did take profits, find a point that would tell you the bulls are back in control, which would be coming up through today's high. KKR, probably wouldn't be long or short on this one. Just no direction. We did rig. Coop, you stay long on this one and just be very conscious of what it does once it gets to the 200. But right now, there's no reason not to stay long. And Loco, you stay short on this one. With that big gap down, no real, this is one where if I took my profits with it trading back up above the doji high, I'd be shorted again because now it's come back down through the candle that told you the bulls were starting to take control. And the Russell 2000, same scenario as the rest of them. They're back. It's back below the T-line, sideways. More likely in a downtrend if we see weakness on the open tomorrow. G-Pro, all you can do right now is stay long on this one as long as it stays above the T-line. Netflix, just stay long, but don't let it come back below the T-line. Oops, how did I do that? How did I scroll way down there? And AMCN, you stay long on this one. We did Netflix, STEM. STEM, you get ready to buy this one. You know, we've had this little slow curve breakout. It did some profit taking today. I would use today's open as a buy stop. If it comes back up through there, it's pretty much telling us the profit taking's over. MSTR, I'd be more apt to ready to go short on this one. We can see the slow curve. Any shortness or any weakness here would take you back down to the 200-day moving average. QLYS, nothing here to get real excited about. Nothing until you see a strong buy signal. It's just not there yet. NKR. Uh-oh. That one doesn't seem to be working. KCG, that's a good little fry pan bottom. Another one I wouldn't be afraid to be buying on strength tomorrow. PRTA, same scenario. As long as this stays above the T line, and obviously you want to see what it does once it gets to the T line or to the 50, but you stay long. And Procter & Gamble, you stay short on this one until you see a buy signal. And ZIV, this one needed to stay above the T line, which means this one has to open positive tomorrow to stay in it. If it opens weaker, you close it out and you just wait for it to come back up above the T line. ORKB or ORBK, another one. You stay long, doing a J-hook pattern. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one, especially if it came back up through the high of today. That would tell me that the J-hook pattern's in progress. And RTI, just stay short on this one. Notice how it's broken this downtrending channel. You just stay short until you see a buy signal. If I was short right now with stochastics in the oversold area, I'd have my stop at today's open. It shouldn't come back up through there. What is that one? XIV. This one closed right on the T line. This makes it very simple. To stay short or stay long on this one, it has to open positive. And Palo, just stay long. Good slow curve. We did Coop. LCI. Nothing real exciting here. It probably wouldn't be long or short because if it backs off, it's only going to come off to the 200. There's better charts out there. I'd be someplace else. And NXPI, nice big slow curve. You stay long on this one, especially if it opens positive and trades positive, trying to break out of this fry pan bottom. Get this type of action, which then would take you up, maybe up another 35 points. Is that LPSN? IPSN. Oh, do that in capitals again, Marilyn. I can't figure that out. NetEase, stay long. Just use the T line as your stop. RTIX, this one you should be out of, possibly even going short if there's good enough volume. With the anticipation, they could be coming back down to the 200-day moving or the 50-day moving average. Mohawk, just stay long as this doesn't close. Close below the T line. And if I was going to be a buyer, I'd buy it if it came back up through the 190 level, telling me they've broken out to the upside. If you see the close between the 3T and the T line, stay in until, yeah, the T line is your primary indicator. the 3T, if you've moved far enough away from the T line, the 3T line becomes more effective. James, I think that might be a lap. You're probably looking for JMEI. And that one you should not be in anymore. This is why when you start getting up into the overbought area, use the previous day's open as your stop. The 3T line, the further away you move from the T line, the higher the probability the 3T line becomes more effective. Also, if you see a close on the stock or the stock price below the T line and the 3T line is coming back down through the T line, that's another confirmation that the selling pressure has gotten too big. You want to be out of it. What's a good pattern to focus on? The J-hook pattern and the fry pan bottom are the most common ones. But the other ones don't occur often enough, and there's not that many of them. There's only 4 more: the belt hold, the cradle pattern, the scoop pattern. I know there's another one. Escapes me right now. This one you should not be in. ICLD. When it came back down and closed below the T line and just has not been able to get back up above it, you want to be someplace else. And Blackstone just barely closed below the T line today, which would put it in a position of it has to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. QUNR should be out of this one. You can always buy it back if and when it comes back up above the T line. JD has to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. Buffalo Wings, you want to get ready to go short on this one. That's also a good looking short situation. There's your slow curve. Observe the obvious. Lots of indecision here at the T line, and then he told you which way they were taking their decision. Now you've got a pattern setting up, that Barry's J-hook. And WTI, right now if you can short it, you short it. Looks like it's coming back to the 50, which is basically a confirmation that the crude oil prices are slowly backing off, and I would suspect they're going to come back and test the 50 to see if it's going to act as support. BABA, stay long. Use the T-line as your stop. The oil index, same scenario. It's probably coming back to test the 50-day moving average right now. Enron oil and gas, stay short on this one. I would use today's high as a stop. And FSL, nice fry pan bottom. I'd be watching this one, especially to see if it breaks out through this level. Let's make this a little bit smaller. That's a good looking chart. Remember, these fry pan bottoms is just investor sentiment, building up strength, getting ready for the next move. Schlumberger, you probably want to be out of this. I don't know whether you'd want to go short, but I would suspect it's going to move slowly downward until the 50-day moving average catches up to it. And when I say I suspect that, that's what I'd kind of be looking for, and then just see what type of signal it does once it hits the 50. OGXI, nothing happening there because I did it wrong. OGXI. Depending on the volume in this one, it came right up to the top of the channel. I'd be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow and just use the 50 as my stop. Do we place importance on a death cross anymore, like in the transports? The death cross. I don't. I look more at what the pattern is telling me. The moving averages are just kind of indicators. You can watch it, I mean, but you watch it on the basis that if the 50 comes back down through the 200, they're still selling this off. You can stay short on the transport index. The bobble is very simple to recognize. Know that if it's bouncing up here and you were buying, you'd watch to see what happens when it hits the first resistance level, the 50. We know a bobble is that when it hits the 50 and starts selling off, we can take profits. But if they can't close this back below the T-line and they start showing buying, we can buy it when it comes back up through the 50 because that becomes our bobble. That was just the profit taken at the 50. And then if it comes back up through the 50-day moving average, now what do we have? We've got a J-hook pattern in progress. T-line with a T-line or a death cross with a T-line crunch? No. I trade the patterns. I use the other moving averages as indicators, not as instigators. What did I just put in? CBOE. Look for the little J-hook pattern. And Southwest Airlines, you stay short. I would suspect that's the case with all the airlines. American, you stay short. And I forgot what the other one was that somebody was requesting earlier. T2, this one you can get ready to buy. Big gap up, the profit taking. Now, if they open positive after this piercing signal, pretty much tells us the profit taking's over. You can start buying that one. Oh, it was a JetBlue. JetBlue, you stay short. Okay, let's see, BBT. BBT is stay long as it stays above the T-line. Sabre has been acting well. As long as it stays above the T-line, you stay with it. Got some of this in some of the portfolios and just hanging on to it because it really hasn't had a sell signal and a close below the T-line. Okay, with that, we'll call it a night. As we can see, the Dow, as well as the other indicator or the indexes, are back in the trend channel. They pretty much have to stay or see if they can stay above the 50. Delta, you stay short on this one. I would suspect Delta has the possibility of coming back down to this level, the support level. When you see Nugget, it looks more downside. Yes, but the difference is Nugget is not in the oversold area, whereas AU is in the oversold area. So you're right. I'd be more apt to be short Nugget or not as leery about it popping back up. Oink a lot. The airlines, you got to remember, price based upon what everybody feels they're doing, which means they may have moved up too strong on the last up move. Could you show an example of the best friend pattern? Best friend is when you see a doji followed by a gap up. That is your best friend. Whoops, I don't know what I did there. But anytime I see a doji followed by a gap up with stochastics near the lower end of the range, I want to be a buyer. Yep. Okay, everybody, let's call it a night. Got done a little bit early. So we'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.